This is the most cursed car of all time. But what makes it so cursed? Well, how about if it killed its first owner in a violent and unexpected crash? And then its parts and even wrecked shell went on to hurt and murder countless others. Then out of nowhere it disappears, never to be seen again. So strap in as we uncover the chilling story of James Dean's little bastard. But first, before we get into the car, I should probably introduce you to the man.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Dean.
Born on February 8th, 1931, despite having a tragically short life, Dean left an incredible mark on American culture. He's one of those actors you already know even if you've never seen any of his movies. That being said, fame never came easy for him. When he first moved to LA, Dean struggled to land many gigs, only appearing in a few small TV ads. But his big break came when he starred in East of Eden, as well as the cult classic Rebel Without a Cause, roles which earned him the first ever posthumous Academy Awards.
James Dean in East of Eden.
But Dean's passion wasn't limited to acting. Off screen, like many of us, he was an adrenaline junkie with a taste for fast cars and high speed. His weapon of choice, a beautiful Porsche 356 Speedster, which he skillfully piloted to many race wins. But eventually, he got bored of those easy wins and wanted something a bit more powerful. Enter the Porsche 550 Spyder. Sleek and incredibly beautiful, the 550 was as cutting edge of a sports car as money could buy. Its lightweight, low-slung design meant its 110 horsepower, 1.5 liter flat 4 could rocket it to over 140 miles per hour, covering 0 to 60 in just 7 seconds. Pretty damn impressive for the 50s. Only 90 of these track weapons were ever made for a price of just $7,000. And I mean, what a bargain. Even in today's money, that's just 80 grand, less than what some of y'all are paying for new F-150s. Anyways, as soon as Dean got his hands on the car, he added a few personal touches. Racing stripes, decals, and most famously across the car's rear bumper was its nickname, Little Bastard. Some say Little Bastard was a nickname that producers gave Dean due to his, well, reckless nature, while others claim he picked it himself. Either way, it seems to have stuck. Dean understandably was super proud of his new Spyder and decided to show it off to a few of his actor friends, including Alec Guinness, yes, the future Obi-Wan Kenobi. But instead of complimenting it, Guinness delivered a spine-chilling warning.
Please do not get into that car, because if you do, and I looked at my watch, and I said, if you get into that car at all, it's now Thursday, whatever the date was, 10 o'clock at night, and by 10 o'clock at night, next Thursday, you'll be dead if you get into that car.
Claiming the sports car looked sinister, exhausted, and hungry. I guess you could say he sensed a disturbance in the force. But Dean laughed it off as nothing more than a bad Yelp review. And just 5 days later, he set off from Competition Motors in Hollywood, headed for a race in Salinas, California. Alongside him was his friend and Porsche qualified mechanic, Rolf. Originally, the plan was to tow the sports car, but Ralph insisted that they drive it, to break it in a little. Just over an hour into the journey, outside of Bakersfield, Dean was pulled over for speeding. I guess he really did want to break that thing in, but that didn't slow him down. He just shrugged it off and continued his charge towards Salinas. At about 5:45, with daylight fading, Dean was barreling down Route 466. In the oncoming lane was 23-year-old student Donald Turnipseed driving his Ford Tudor. Whether it was the setting sun blinding his vision or the low profile of the car, Donald failed to spot the silver Porsche and made a fatal error. He turned left and cut in front of Dean. It was too late. Charging in at almost 120 miles an hour, there was not enough time nor space for Dean to swerve or slow down. The Porsche's exposed design offered little to no protection. The impact sent the Ford almost 40 feet down the road, while the Porsche went flying into the air. Passenger Rolf was thrown out of the Spyder, suffering from a broken jaw and femur, while Dean's unconscious body had to be pried out of the mangled Porsche with crowbars. Legend has it that on the 30-mile journey to the nearest hospital, the ambulance carrying Dean itself met with a minor crash. While this seems more like an urban myth, what's not up to debate was that James Dean passed away before he ever reached a hospital. He was just 24 years old. But our story doesn't end here. While tragic, the reality is lots of cars end up in fatal crashes. But what makes this particular car, Little Bastard, the most cursed one of all time was the weird and downright creepy events that happened after. Let's start with its parts. Despite being declared a total loss by the insurance company, the car's shell and some parts were actually sold on. In fact, the Spyder's engine was somehow almost perfectly intact, which caught the eye of passionate part-time racer Dr. William Eschrid, who bought the Little Bastard's 4-cylinder to power his Lotus 11, while his friend Dr. Troy McHenry transplanted the Porsche's transmission and suspension into his own car. Both doctors then entered their newly upgraded cars into the 1956 Panoma sports car races, and initially everything seemed fine. Dr. Eschrid was pleasantly surprised by the new engine's performance, shooting his Lotus up the order, until, as if possessed, his car completely lost control and slammed into a barrier. Luckily, the doctor managed to escape with only a few minor injuries, but his friend Dr. McHenry wasn't so fortunate. Just a couple laps later, McHenry similarly lost control of his car, sending him careening into a tree. Tragically, he instantly passed away. On top of all of that, 2 of the Little Bastard's wheels were also salvaged and found their way onto yet another car. Allegedly, while this car was casually cruising down the highway, not one but both wheels suddenly flew off at the same time, causing yet another almost fatal crash. So let's tally it up. So far, the Little Bastard takes down Dean, injures Rolf, and contributes to 3 more crashes, one of them fatal, and we aren't done yet. Because now we move on to the Porsche's wrecked shell, which went to famed Hollywood petrolhead and self-proclaimed king of customs George Barris, who initially planned on rebuilding it, but eventually he came to reality and realized that the car's mangled frame was beyond repair, and in an attempt to capitalize on the car's growing infamy, decided to display the shell at various exhibitions to promote road safety. Ironically, while loading the car onto a trailer, it slipped off and crushed a mechanic's legs. It's also said that visitors who dared touch the car ended up with weird cuts and wounds, while another story said that the garage storing the Little Bastard randomly caught on fire, destroying everything except the Porsche shell. These bizarre incidents only fueled rumors of a curse, until suddenly, while being transported to an exhibition, it simply vanished and has never been seen again. Some think it was stolen by a secretive collector who had a thing for ghostly cars, while others think it might have just driven off into the sunset like a demonic version of Herbie the Love Bug. And if all that isn't creepy enough, remember Rolf, the Porsche mechanic who was riding shotgun with Dean during his crash? Well, it seems that the curse got to him too. You see, despite the fact that Rolf survived the crash, he was left with devastating physical injuries, as well as suffering from a terrible bout of survivor's guilt, leading to a lot of substance abuse, and over the decades his life kinda spiraled. He lost his job as a Porsche mechanic, and in 1965 found himself in yet another horrific crash, but this time he was the driver. The crash claimed the life of his passenger, and Rolf had even more injuries. But the curse doesn't stop there. In 1981, while driving alone, Rolf mysteriously lost control of his car, sending him careening into a house, costing him his life. He was just 53 years old. To this day, despite countless searches, the Little Bastard is yet to be found. But if it is found, it would be worth a buttload. In 2005, an auto museum in Illinois even offered $1 million reward for the wreck. And just a couple years ago, the car's so-called original transaxle sold at auction for almost $400K. So what do you think? Was James Dean's Little Bastard really a cursed car, leaving in its wake a trail of death and destruction? Or was it all just a string of creepy coincidences? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, be a legend and hit that subscribe button. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.